Coming up on today's episode of Inside Man United, the headlines. Arsenal to rival United for Girona left-back Miguel Gutierrez, a player Jose Mourinho wanted when he was at the club. Man United chief Jean-Claude Blanc discusses his plans on how to develop Manchester United's brand and improve the fan experience. Fabrizio Romano reports on how INEOS are working to bring Europe's top young talent to the club. And Dan Ashworth is heading up a gargantuan €140 million double deal focusing on Juventus and Inter Milan targets. All that coming up. Hello everybody, welcome back to the show. This is Inside Man United. My name is Rowan Brennan and thank you very much for joining me once again. And as always, if you are new around these parts and you like the content, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. So welcome back everyone, and this is another edition of the Manchester United news. And just as a little reminder, later on in the week I'm going to be releasing a 3-part series starting tomorrow. Just going into the details of our squad. I'm breaking it up into 3 different parts. Wednesday's episode is going to be focusing on the defence, who I think we need to buy, who we need to keep, who we need to sell. And then Thursday is the midfield, Friday is the attack. And just some pre-recorded content for you guys while I take a little trip to Rome. But yeah, I think there's some interesting stuff in there. And which leads nicely into our first article here, because this is one of the players that I believe we will and should be going for. So Arsenal are going to rival United for Girona left-back Miguel Gutierrez. And as we know, Girona are absolutely flying in La Liga. Obviously losing in their contest against Real Madrid, but doing very, very well. And Miguel Gutierrez is a key part of that. 22 years of age and establishing himself as one of the best left backs in the league. And Arsenal are looking to get in on the action as well with Mr. Zinchenko. He's kicking on a little bit in age, and that seems to catch up with fullbacks a lot more than it does players in other positions. So the report goes on to say the 22-year-old began his career at Real, making just 10 senior appearances before leaving for Girona, and he's established himself as a first-team regular. And I believe our boy Alvaro Fernandez is over on the right-hand side. So a very nice young attacking system they have there with their fullback. So after making 34 La Liga appearances in his first season with the White and Reds, he's since started 26 top-flight matches and scoring once and getting 4 assists. Not bad for the young man. And now Real Madrid do have a 50% right to a sell-on clause, and they might want to take him back. But by all accounts, reports are indicating that they are going to be going for Alphonso Davies, the Canadian who is currently plying his trade at Bayern Munich. So there he is there. That's the man himself. And both Los Blancos and United have been credited with an interest in Gutierrez, who's under contract at Girona until 2027. However, Fijajes reports that Arsenal are the latest club to enter the race for his signature. And it does look like we could get him for about 30 million. So he would be a very affordable option. And it's my opinion that we need to keep an eye on the left back position. We do have Harry Amas coming in as a left back, but again, he's only 16. He's going to be 17 next year. You can hardly expect him to come in and be a reliable backup. As good as he is, it's still too young to expect a 17-year-old to come in with the rough and tumble of the Premier League. So reports claim that United have identified Gutierrez as their top target and are determined to lure him to Old Trafford this summer, with Ten Hag keen to bolster his left-back options. But yeah, Michael Arteta's in the race there as well. He wants to find a replacement for Zinchenko. And they're not going to make it easy. That's it. I think this is a player United need to go for. I think Luke Shaw can't be relied upon. Harry Amas should be an understudy, but again can't be relied upon as a kind of a true backup for the duration of the season. He's also going to be in and out of the under-18s and the under-21s when they require him as well. So we need to kind of take care with him and not put too much pressure on his young shoulders, especially when we've got Kobbie Mainoo, Omari Forson now starting to come into the team, Kim Walla, of course, Alejandro Garnacho. So there's already a lot of very, very young players, still in their teens, trying to make a push on the United first team. So, I think we kind of need to draw a line somewhere and maybe have some more experience coming in on those fullback positions. So let's see what happens in that space. And Jean-Claude Blanc, who many thought was going to be our CEO or director of football, but he's just come in as part of the INEOS crew and is going to have a huge say in how United develop their ground, their business, their brand. And he's not really one for saying a whole lot, but he has been a little bit more vocal in recent times. And the Frenchman's been added to the United board alongside Brailsford, and they'll offer strategic advice and work alongside the CEO, Omar Barada, who, of course, was appointed from Manchester City. So he did very, very well at Juventus and PSG, even kind of turning them into a fashion brand. He's got a very good, strong mind for business, and I think he's going to be a very strong addition because the pedigree and the legacy that he left and developed at Juventus and PSG it's inarguable. He did amazing things at those clubs. So French newspaper La Tribune was speaking with him, and he discussed his INEOS plans for Manchester. So while Ratcliffe has previously said on-field performance would be prioritised, Claude Blanc suggested that addressing the future of Old Trafford should be top of the agenda because when that's developed, that means more match day revenue. It means more fan experiences. That means more money. That means more money for transfers. So it's kind of a chicken and egg scenario between where do we put the money, into the ground or into the stadium? Because, better performances means more money, but a better match day experience means more money. But again, it's like all things. It's probably a little bit of both. So he goes on to say, the key is the quality of experience for the fans, he said. We must have the courage to invest in infrastructure rather than in players. This creates additional income, which allows reinvestment in talent. So I started my career following the construction of a temporary stadium for the opening of the Albertville Games. At Juventus, there was the design and construction of a 41,500 seater stadium. At PSG, we worked a lot to effectively renovate the Parc des Princes, and at Manchester United, we are watching. Old Trafford's been at the forefront for years, but is now catching up. Modernisation or a new Old Trafford? All options are on the table. We see that things are moving a lot. Tottenham have a new stadium. Real are finishing theirs. Barcelona working on theirs. And Paris might have one day as well. The likes of Arsenal, Spurs are obviously reaping the rewards and benefits of having a modern, new, top of the line stadium that is the envy of most clubs, not just in England but around Europe. So they've been hamstrung in the transfer market by new stadium developments, which was well known during the Wenger years that he was kind of keeping things low key on the transfer front because they needed to manage how things were, but they were future-proofing the club, and maybe they're starting to reap the benefits of that. So United are expected to be busy in the summer as Ratcliffe eyes a rebuild of the United squad. But it looks like Jean-Claude Blanc, his focus is going to be on the club and what it can do as a brand, and more power to him. And on that, INEOS are working to bring top young talent in at United. So Fabrizio Romano reporting that United are going to be changing their approach to the transfer market and trying to build a constellation of clubs very similar to what Manchester City has done with the likes of Girona and them doing well. With INEOS now owning Nice, there is definite potential to build out a kind of scouting network, develop and nurture young talent. It's great for pure profit transfers, buy him young, buy him in at 100 grand, 500 grand, even $1 million, 2 million, sell him on for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 million. Such is the way things are going now. Look at the likes of Cole Palmer, Anthony Gordon. These are numbers that are not ridiculous anymore. They've endured mixed success with the recruitment over the years. We all know that. We've been living through this. So Fabrizio Romano provides his own update and says that United are going to be targeting a younger profile of player in the recruitment under INEOS, using data to back up their decisions. Well, I think everyone kind of uses data for the most part, but you also got to take in personality into account and things like that, and how they were reared, what's their family like. I mean, these were things that United and Sir Alex Ferguson and his scouting network would take into account when we're trying to recruit the right mindset of player, not just their ability on the pitch. Just a list here of United's car crash list of transfers, overpriced flops, to be honest, with a few exceptions like Bruno. Mason Mount remains to be seen, and pretty much everyone else we're not going to be getting value for money with them, which is a pretty damning indictment. So Italian journalist Romano, speaking in his daily briefing, confirmed that United will be looking to focus on younger talents. One thing he said here is, one thing I'm hearing from sources in the industry is that United under INEOS will try to work to bring in top young talents to the club. These young players could also generally become part of the Man United galaxy because they also have the connection that they have in Nice, perhaps a place they could send youngsters on loan to develop. Very much the case with Manchester City and Girona. And they do have other clubs as well, but just a little less known. So they're saying here, if INEOS want to bring success back to Old Trafford, they will have to make some major decisions on the recruitment strategy. And I, for one, am all for that. They go on to add that Julian Lopetegui, obviously at Wolves, previously Spanish national team manager in Real Madrid. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle over there. I don't think he lasted too long for the Real Madrid job, because I think he'd mentioned something regarding the club job while he was still the Spain manager, lost the Spain job, couldn't do the Real job, and then he ended up at Sevilla before he moved on to Wolves, where he left earlier on this season. So he is now one of the front runners to come in and take over at United. Now, I want Ten Hag to be given another season, but Lopetegui, he does have a decent pedigree. He seems to be a decent enough manager. I know other channels that I've listened to wouldn't be overly excited with having him come in, but I can think of worse, and maybe that's not the attitude you need to have. But I think Lopetegui, he has been close. He did very well at Sevilla. Despite that club being in absolute turmoil. Didn't do as well as he probably could have with that Spanish team, but he took over a Spanish team that was in transition and didn't do too well. Luis Enrique had similar struggles with the Spanish national team also, and I don't think his pedigree is in any doubt. But reports in Spain have suggested that Lopetegui could be in line to replace Erik Ten Hag if INEOS decide to make a change. Journalist Dean Jones has also told Gimme Sport that Lopetegui would be a leading candidate if Ten Hag was sacked. But the fact of the matter is, even if Ten Hag stays, there is going to be a short list. I've said this before and I will say it again. Even as soon as you bring in a player or a manager, you're still going to have a list of 2 or 3 people to replace them, even if they've just come in the door, because shit happens. Okay, look at Sam Allardyce in England. He could be, they could find a body under the floorboards of his gaff a week after he gets the job, and then he gets arrested. I mean, you just need to have people there as a backup. You always need a plan B. So yeah, interesting stuff there. But the young talent approach, I don't think that's much of a secret given the profile of player we've been linked with, from Michael Olise, Jared Brantwaite, Yao Neves, Jean-Claire Todibo, Antonio Silva. All the kind of players we're generally being linked with are quite young and kind of up and coming talents. So on that note, Ashworth is heading up a gargantuan 140 million double deal to transform United. So the 2 players are Nicolo Barella and Grayson Bremer, centre-back, who's doing very, very well at Juventus. So it goes on to say United are going to go all out for a sensational double swoop. How true that is, we don't know. But again, will these 2 players be on the transfer list of the type of player United want? Of course, that list could be 50 players long, but trust me, these players are going to be on it. Ashworth aiming to sign 140 million duo for United. And apparently Barella was a player, Barella, Nicolo Barella. That was a player that Ashworth wanted to bring into Newcastle before they ended up going for Sandro Tonali. And while a change of manager is expected, United team talk sources confirming Erik Ten Hag is expected to make way. I've heard, we had a 3 to 5 hour meeting with INEOS execs there the other day, and I don't think you have a meeting that long if they're planning on letting go of you. But who knows? So yeah, it looks like Nicolo Barella and Grayson Bremer are the ones wanted by United. So according to Interlive, Ashworth wants to kick off a strong new year era at Old Trafford by sealing an explosive double raid on Italy for Nicolo Barella, who's pretty much a box-to-box player. He can play defensively, but he is a little bit more attack-minded. He's been doing very, very well, winning the Euros with Italy back in 2020. And just generally been doing very, very well in Italy. And then Grayson Bremer, 25 years of age, Brazilian, been doing very well in the centre of defence with Juve, who seem to have really gotten their stuff together under Max Allegri after a difficult couple of seasons. So per the report, Ashford has set out 150 million to land the player. It's claimed a move for Grayson, regarded as one of the best and fiercest Serie A defenders, is already well underway in a bid worth 60 million. Again, I think there are other players that are going to be prioritised over Grayson Bremer, but there is a lot of noise about that. There's also a lot of noise about Scalvini, the centre half, another Italian centre half, but he's actually Italian, not Brazilian, playing for Atalanta. And then, of course, there's Brantwaite, Jean-Claire Todibo, Antonio Silva, Goncalo Inacio, and Guhi as well from Palace. Barella, meanwhile, would fetch a mammoth 80 million fee, but yeah, that's just the way it goes. So Ashworth is apparently convinced that Italy international and Euro 2020 winner Barella can be the man to transform the Red Devils midfield, seen as an area of weakness. And the 27-year-old was also on his list of targets last summer for Newcastle, but his admiration for the 51 cap star will follow Ashworth to Old Trafford, where apparently he wants to make a double swoop for these 2 players. So very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I've no doubt that those names are on the list, but I think there's a lot of names on those lists, and they are the main headlines for today. And thank you once again for joining me and tuning in for the episode. Leave your thoughts and comments underneath. What do you think of those players? Do you think we should be going for different targets? Do you think that those players are worth 140 million? And what are your thoughts on Jean-Claude Blanc wanting to focus the revenue of the club towards the stadium? Would you prefer to see that, or do you just want to see new players coming in? If you're a fan of the club, of course you want to see new players. You don't really care about stadium development. We want players and names and transfers. That's why we're in this game. That's why we love this. That's why we love this game. And Miguel Gutierrez coming in from Girona, apparently with Arsenal providing a little bit of competition in order to replace Zinchenko at the end of the season. Remains to be seen what happens there, but it looks like United are very much interested in that player. Like I said, hit the like and subscribe button if you like the content. It means a huge amount in trying to grow and support this channel. And thank you very, very much for joining me. And I will see you on the next one.